Good morning. Welcome to OptionsTender. It's Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. I'm not convinced the low is in. Is it? Maybe. Okay. I don't have any evidence of that. We didn't negate the secondary scenario. Okay. So 514 was violated, but now we have a new 382 that I'm going to show you that has to be taken out. It's a fib retracement for a wave 4 that would negate a new low coming in if this were to happen. Now, if by chance we get a higher low and it takes out that downtrend line and also that 382 retracement that I'll show you in the lower time frames, then so be it. Then that will negate it later on. But I still think that we have some unfinished business, and let's look at the chart to see why. So I'm doing this intraday about 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to get these videos intraday, consider becoming a YouTube member. It starts off at 99 cents a month. All right. And we just did a cycle analysis update for $4.99 a month members. That's $4.99. This is the economy deal here. So it's just to support the channel. That's all, you guys. So thanks for all the support from you guys in the trading room, in the Discord. You guys really help, bring scenarios together. And there's a lot of positivity in there. So that comes with that whole package anyway. If you look at the comments in YouTube, you just have people that just want to tell you you're wrong. They have nothing to offer. They're just there. But I still appreciate all the comments, whether negative or not, and I'll continue to respond to them when I can. Okay, so let's jump into it, you guys. You have SPX on the daily time frame. We'll go around the horn on the other indices, and then we'll check out indicators on the 65 as well. So you see this sort of expanding wedge starting to happen. We came into support here. I know it's really light, but it's this low right here. And that's what we're holding on to right now. So you had a big wick through, and then it appears, if we do have this last wave down here, that we can reach those target areas that I was talking about around 4,700 to maybe 4,600. Sure, there's price action that can happen below there. Even if price does break below there, I think it will be an eventful thing. So to where price will not be under there very low, and you can add to your positions if you start going along in this green box here. And that's what I will do. And I'll use the in-out spreads. And again, that with volatility so high, those spreads are the way to go, in my opinion. And they're a really easy way to put on the trade. You set your sell and you set it and forget it. All right. So let's dig in a little bit deeper here. We have this trend line from that first wave up here, and we hit the lows there. So clearly that bounce is coming off of these lows here, and I love that. But it's so steep that any new low, will it actually touch the trend line? I don't know, but it allows for a lot more room to the downside because it's so steep. And then we have to be cautious, and I'll bring the moving averages out. We still have to be super cautious. The 8 moving average momentum indicators on the downside, the 20 is way down here. So even there's these two things. When the bottom is in, if it's in now or if it's in later, when the bottom is in, we're going to have to look for some sort of market structure. Is it going to be something like this? All right. Is it going to be that type of market structure where you build momentum and then and then price starts heading higher? Or is it more like the Corona crash where it's just a V shape? And I know this isn't the example right here, but where you get your low and then it's a relentless move where you can't even get in, unless you're just riding that 8 EMA right there. You wouldn't be able to get in. Okay, so that's what we'll be looking for when we think the low is in. So far, everything's just heading down. And then looking at the indicators, we're deeply, oversold, but there's just no positive divergence. There's just no real evidence that the bottom is in. And then when we surpass that level, again, I'll show you later. So play this at 1.25 speed or 1.5 speed. And if price just happens to get above there, then we can start to really think constructively at that point. So looking at the OptionsTender setup here, we have the MACD. I guess we can move in closer. MACD still headed lower here. I'd love to see some positive divergence, even if it's just on the histograms, before we really start to put on our bull caps. So we had the deep oversold conditions. And again, even if we don't get it on the MACD, I'd love to see something on the RSI. At this point, none of our indicators are saying that we have any positive movement yet. So even the slow stoke, we could get the crossover here. It could be an early buy signal. But again, I'd like to see some sort of positive divergence. And then we'll look on the 65 too, see if we can get that confirmation. And, also pointing out, this was our former area where we thought that some support would happen. It did on Friday, but it happened intraday. So that's where we're rejecting off of it. 2 days in a row, we're rejecting off of this zone. So it was an important zone. I know that the intraday haters out there said there was no bounce, but there was, and that's why this is still important. We're rejecting off of it so far. And just on a visual, without knowing the levels number, this would be the zone you want to get over and close over, to get really bullish, which we're rejecting off of right now. And so again, we're continuing this count because our range was so wide. We still have this demarc count happening, and so we could easily get to that 9 count coming up here. We're at an 8 count so far, and even if we don't make a new low at the 9, we'll be looking for some sort of sign that we get a low after that point. It could be the 9.13 here, so we'll see. Awesome oscillator made a new low. It doesn't have to have positive divergence. Okay, here's that V shape. All right, just like that. It could happen just like that. But then I'd be looking for a higher low, unless it just keeps riding the 8 EMA. And let's go to SPY. So on SPY, we have the money flow index. Wonderful index for reversals. This is the only thing that we have a positive divergence so far. So, this could go back into oversold territory. We'll have to see. Or do we get this positive divergence and we just continue higher with the higher low at this point? This is the only thing that I have so far pointing that way. Bollinger Band, we knew that was a buy off of the low here for the short term. Here's the volume shelf that we're looking at. We got down here, didn't quite make it all the way down to the standard deviation move here. It didn't let some unfinished business still, in my opinion. And even if we reach that shelf, we don't have to go to the bottom to the next shelf there. But if we do, it's going to price action is going to want to protect this gap area. This is shelf. That could be it. 470, and that's it. But if it does, then it should be quick. Again, there's no trading there. There's no trade volume. We'll probably get to about 455 in intraday, if that's the case. So we'll keep an eye on that for volume. And the Elliott oscillator, this just does a fantastic job of showing our wave 4 into 5 or a B into C. And again, we have just a peak here, but no. And that's on major trends, by the way, not just turns in the market. That's on major wave 4 and 5s and B and C's. So nothing here yet. No evidence. All right. Let's look at some more visuals here. Here's our traditional look. So we have that, again, expanding wedge. And price action can bounce around in here until breaking out from it. But didn't quite get to our bounce area. Does that mean it has to? Not really. But we are rejecting now. We'll see what the end of the week looks like. Again, our cycle lows that we have starts Friday. So it's just, that's another thing that just makes me wonder, is a low actually in? I don't have any evidence of that. I don't think so. But this is a wide range here. It's a little bit thinner on SPX. But again, I think that 470 is really where we're looking at here. If we break down from there, we have probably a quick move to spike underneath there. Let's go to, and so I have so just looking at the arrows I have here, do we get a higher low or lower low here? And that's a big question, and I'll show you how we're going to count this. First of all, again, we have our time and price relationship coming in. Starts Thursday and goes until, I believe, Monday, the 14th. So we have that coming up here. Is that going to be a high or a low? I think price will probably be lower into that time frame, and we'll be looking for a low in there. I know it looks like bunched up here. Let me just go in here. So that's our cluster that we're looking at. Okay, and this is how we can start counting things. And the big question was, and on the lower time frame, I'll be able to clear this up for you, that this is no longer the count where we have our 1, 2, 3, the three wave, and this move was on Friday where we got that bounce that people said we didn't get. So that was in there. And so the 5-wave count for this wave here is done. And that was negated earlier today when we traded above for quite some time over 514, which we're right back at 2 right now. And so intraday, technically, whatever. But the whole point is this an A, B, and then a 5-wave move down for C, and this is done? That's our question we have to ask. So into an A, and then a B, and then a C. Okay, and I'm not going to change the A or the B in the red. Okay, that's not changing. But now that we are not violating that 382 retracement yet, and that's right in this zone here, I think we'll pull these aside. I think we're at a larger degree impulse wave right now. If we make a new low, this will be confirmed. So I'm looking at this being a 1, 2, and then you have your 5-wave move down here. Okay. And so wave 3 just ended. Get that out of there. And we just had wave 4 with this large move here. And then we're looking for wave 5 into our zone that we were talking about. Probably just spike through here. Maybe we make it down. Again, there's that 4. There's a 382 retracement at the 462. So there's a little bit of fib action down here if price wants to make it down there. But we're looking for a wave 5 at that point in this scenario. Okay, so is the C in and this wave is already done and we go to the B wave? Or do we have one more low to make into those cycle lows for an A? And now I would be looking for a zigzag. Okay, that's where the bigger picture makes a lot more sense. We would have a nice big B wave after this that takes some time away. And again, B waves can be anything. It can be a flat pattern, it can be a triangle, it can be a complex correction. And then we get the rest of our zag. We got our zig, B wave, and then our zag, right? And then we have a 5-wave move down for a C wave, wherever that might go when we get there. That's what we're looking for, is something a little bit larger. And at that point, I really do think that that is just a higher degree A, and then we make a larger B, and then another C going into next year. That's how I'm looking at things at this point. Now, I know that there's an alternate scenario, and that's looking at this. So I line this one up so it would be nice and good looking here. So this will take place, and I can move this if price makes it down a little bit more. You can still have the 3 points here, but right now it's pretty right there. There's no telling. If this is done, then we still have a bullish scenario where this is a wave 4, that C is in there, and then we can make a wave 5 up higher, and that would be an expanding ending diagonal. That's not complete yet. And so we're going to keep that bullish scenario on the table as we get new price action. And so, it could still make a higher low off of these if that is the low. Maybe it comes down and threatens and holds this trend line here and goes higher. All right. And that they're all made of 3 waves. When you have an ending diagonal like this, then you would see a 3-wave move up here for wave 5 too. So everything looks very corrective as it goes about. All right, anything else? We already did time, price, and we had that nice cluster of fibs here that gave us this reaction too. Love that. Cute. Still unfinished business. Like I said, we don't have any positive divergence. We're looking for just a new low. So SMH, we'll zoom through these. Still can make it down to the next level, or SMH could be, the low could be in and we make a higher low. I do believe that it's possible with and I'm looking up on my other screen, sorry. It's possible that we have a low in there with the cycles. We're in that range already for NVIDIA or the semis to have a low. So we'll see if that creates a higher low for SMH. So that seems to lead the market, and maybe the Qs and SPY make a lower low. That's just something we'll have to keep in mind while we're looking at this. IWM still is below this channel here, and it's kind of back testing up there. Does it go lower? We'll see. And we're not trading IWM, but we do have a level here. It could make a low at this level as well. But once don't want to move that. So that's where it made it bounce already. So maybe we can head down to the lower end of this range. DIA, same thing. Didn't quite make it. Could make it this time. Just have to keep our eye. All right, for the VIX, now here the VIX could make a lower high while SPY makes a lower low, and that would create some divergence there with just a bounce here. Let's go to SPY on the 65. since we do this each and every day, I'll spend most of the time on the indicators and just kind of zoom through to give us a look at the other ones. Unless I see something myself that looks, worth explaining and talking about, that will really help. Okay, so on a visual, traditional look here, we have this expanding wedge, this falling wedge. We call it bullish falling wedge. Hit the lows of it. You can see that there's just a wick right there. It's a really good look. And we got the bounce off of it. And so this is going to be the extraordinary level to get over. And, this is the options expected move here. Sorry, it's actually 518, I believe. I'll show you on the next one. But we're definitely going to have to make new highs off of this. So if we hold this, make new highs, then I think this is a different storyline. Then I think that if we make a new high here off a consolidation, make a new high, then this is probably just either an A or 1, a B or 2, and then so on, headed further higher. All right. And let me just go over to the other board. And this is what I'm talking about right here. So yesterday we talked about this being an ABC, but we didn't know if this was wave 3 or if wave 3 was in here on Friday where we had that bounce intraday. Okay. Now we know it's the case because our 382 from this high was well traded over. Okay, so it really made the probability that was wave 3 very low. Okay, so now that we have this 5-wave move in here, the question is, again, is that done? And this is an ABC that's complete, and I don't really think so, but we'll keep both counts. Sorry, we'll keep both counts there so we can track this. I think we might get one more low coming in here. Now, again, price action's kind of holding around that 382. Maybe it's just waiting for something on smaller B. And oh my gosh, I'm thinking about too many things at once. Sorry, let me zoom through that. Okay, and is this a 3? And then question is, can we cross off the fact that this, I want to be sure that this isn't a wave 4 going into a wave 5 into some cycle lows. Where to go? Okay, now that's going to be our question here. If we get bearish throughout the rest of the week, then we'll be looking for a 5th wave, and then we can start our B wave or the beginning of a new cycle to highs. All right, and again, we have this cluster here that matches perfectly with the daily time frame, and we have this cluster where we could have a low or a high. So maybe if we do negate this bearish scenario, then we can have a high here, and maybe the A will be in, and we'll look for a higher low for a B, and then we can go into C or 1, 2. QQQ. Here's the Qs. I did it again yesterday. I did the same thing. So looks like price wants to hang around this options expected move. It hit one side to the other, just extreme volatility. So yeah, that did not work out, by the way. Let's take those out. So when we do get our low, when our low is in, if we're looking for a corrective move, it will look something like that wedge, likely at least the first part of it, if it's a complex move, and it'll be a much larger one. Let's go real quick. Sorry, I don't want to waste your time, but I don't want to rush through it either. Okay, so we have our moving averages starting to get a bit above the 8, but still trending down with the 20. So you definitely got to get above the 20 moving average. Here's our setup here. MACD got a bull cross. A bull cross, and I would love to see again a positive divergence here. Maybe it just makes a new low. If this is gonna make a new low, we could see like an ending diagonal or something that takes a little bit more time. Momentum to the downside would be waning, and so just going straight down here, if we made a new low, then maybe down to that 480, then I think it'll be a little bit more shallow. But with time going into Friday into early next week, if you have a ending diagonal here, that would take more time, where you have waves crossing over each other, and you make a new low. That would give you room to go a little bit lower, and then we'd get our positive divergences. And again, we have a little one here going into that low, and maybe that's it, but I just don't have enough evidence that that is in. So we already cycled to the highs in the slow stoke. If this starts to cross over, this could lead us down to new lows there. It's the D-mark. Nothing really to see here unless price hangs around here for a little bit. Then you can get a 9 count exhaustion. Awesome oscillator. Nothing to see here. And I left these lines here yesterday just to see if we can get a positive divergence out of these moves. And if you're thinking that there's no way that this wave is just so big, it's really only to that 382. And this is such a volatile environment. This is nothing. This is just nothing. It can easily make new lows. Money flow, Bollinger Band. Again, if you're a Bollinger Band trader, you had that positive divergence, a slight one there, oversold outside the Bollinger Band. That was a good buy. Now we're hanging around that 20 moving average, which is the mid section of the Bollinger Band. They're starting to come in. So, even if price tags the lows again here, we'll probably see some sort of price action that this band gets thin again. Contraction to expansion. Volume. The volume made it to the shelf here. We have a nice cluster down here. Again, that moves around that all the way down to about 470, 469. Right there. Elliott oscillator. I would suspect that we would see something on the Elliott oscillator on the 65-minute, even if we didn't get it on the daily time frame. So I'm going to leave this here to look for a positive divergence. We'll see. Now we can go around to SMH. SMH was interesting because it revisited that wedge that we have, broke down from the wedge. It's back testing it right now. So I drew a channel too. That's clearly not right. We'll take that out. and we'll figure out what's happening here on my own time. But this is possibly a 5-wave move here that's just about complete, if not already complete. I think it's more likely that SMH is complete than the rest of the markets. We'll see. IWM. Didn't quite make it to the upper edge of the options expected move like SPY did, but definitely made it down to the lower edge and the point of control there as well. And then we have a level down here at 170 it could reach if it wanted to. DIA, the diamonds. We could look for, if it does make a new low here, 365. Just didn't quite get there. There's another level right underneath. You saw it on the daily time frame. Again, that didn't work out for us. And for those of you who are saying, you know, why is it getting bearish at the lows? I'm not getting bearish, even though I have bears on my my thumbnails. Doesn't mean I'm getting bearish down here. What do you know? My question to you is, am I supposed to have a bunch of bulls down here? You know, I'm just not sure. I have to change when I see something going wrong. Our trades obviously didn't work out past this low here, and if you're holding on to a bunch of trades while everything's crashing, that's your management. Analysis is different than trading, okay? VIX. We'll see if the VIX starts to make. Okay, so holding on to this island gap here. An island gap, if you're not familiar, here's our recent gap. That was a past gap, gapped over. And we're holding on to that. So if the VIX gets elevated or makes a new high, it could make a lower high, then SPY is likely to make that lower low. So be careful here. It's holding on to support. We'll see. Maybe this is this structure here. Like if you want to count it as a 1, 2, maybe this is 3 all the way through, 4, and then you get some sort of wave 5 up here. All right, that's it, you guys. Let me get this video out to you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Join us in the Discord. We'll see you there.